This is the NWA World's Women's Champion Thunder Rosa. Thank you for watching Mark's Name Joe. Un saludo a todos, cuídense mucho y a dar trancazos, cabrones.
Welcome back to another episode of Mark's Name Joe. We're going to cover the WWE Draft, the winners and losers from our opinions. Joe, what do you want to do here? Which direction are we going to go?
Well, let's start off with talking about some of the big movers in this draft. A lot of people did stay on the same brand, but if we look at the Raw roster, they have notable additions of AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, Matt Riddle, Jeff Hardy. And if we look at the women's side, Alexa Bliss and Lacey Evans are jumping over from SmackDown to Raw. If we look at SmackDown, they got Seth Rollins from Raw. They also got Kevin Owens, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, the Mysterios, Rey and Dominic. They also got Bianca Belair and everyone's favorite, Natalya. Some of the big things that did happen in the draft, though, were a couple of teams were split. Heavy Machinery, Otis and Tucker were split. Who? Otis and Tucker. And then, of course, something that we're definitely going to talk about at length, the New Day. Kofi and Xavier Woods split. They're on Raw, and Big E remains on SmackDown. A couple other important things are a couple of stars that went undrafted. One kind of makes sense because Mickie James in kayfabe was injured in her match with Asuka, and that's why it was ended early. And another one doesn't make any sense at all, and that's Andrade. No, what are you raising your hand? Should I call on you?
You're a teacher, right?
Yes.
So teach me why Andrade wasn't in this draft. Teach me. Why was he not drafted? Why was Titus O'Neil, who I haven't seen on television in months, drafted? And Andrade's not drafted.
I did have a quick little conversation with Stephanie Hypes about Andrade and Titus O'Neil, and she did remind me to put some respect on Titus's name. And Titus is one of the greatest ambassadors for the WWE brand as a whole, and he deserves all of the recognition in the world for that. But is he still an active performer? Honestly, the last thing that I remember him doing is sliding under the ring at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
If I can cut you off, Stephanie Hypes, we love her here at Mark's Name Joe. Okay. My issue with this entire thing with Titus O'Neil getting drafted and Andrade not, it's not because of his ambassador status, which is he's great. He's very outspoken and not in a bad way. And he's one of the most well-known guys that's out there for WWE. You see, I could pick Titus O'Neil out of a crowd. My thing is, why Raw? If you're going to draft the man, put him on SmackDown, because one of my biggest issues is if you look at the SmackDown roster, do you see anybody on that roster besides Kevin Owens, Big E, and whom else am I missing here that's potential face that could face Roman down the line? Because there's not much. Face. There's not.
Yeah, good point.
There's nobody. Why not draft
Otis, Mr. Money in the Bank?
Oh my God.
Otis.
He's going to cash in on the buffet. That's about what he's going to cash in on, all right?
That he will.
If you're going to draft him, and it's not about drafting him ahead of somebody, draft him to SmackDown. They need faces. They need opponents. It's not bad for them to push a Roman Reigns Titus O'Neil feud to get us down the line to Rumble and stuff, you know? They need faces. They can't just waste Kevin Owens because they're gonna. Yeah. They can't just waste Big E because they're gonna. Nobody's beating Roman right now, and
nobody should beat Roman.
That's my issue that was my big issue with why Titus got drafted and Andrade didn't, is because the brand didn't make sense to me. Putting him on Raw didn't make sense to me.
So let's keep the theme going. Let's keep talking about some losers from the draft. Who else do you think is a loser coming out of the WWE draft?
Well, we talked about Titus O'Neil. He's not the loser in this. Let's make that out. The loser in this is Andrade. Only explanation I got in my mind is, are they going to put him back in NXT? He's a free agent. NXT doesn't have that big star power right now because everybody keeps getting hurt. All right. Andrade versus Finn for that title would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think Andrade is fantastic. So Andrade is one of the bigger losers in this draft. There's other people. You could go with SmackDown. I just said the SmackDown roster. It's all heels.
Not only is it all heels, SmackDown got the entirety now of this Seth Rollins, Monday Night Messiah, Friday Night Friar, I'll start calling it, feud with Rey and Dominic Mysterio. Presumably Aaliyah's coming over too, because why not? She wasn't explicitly drafted, but the Mysterios are a family deal.
Mm-hmm.
And Murphy as well is added to the SmackDown roster. So they're just going to keep going like nothing has changed, except now they're all going to be wearing blue t-shirts instead of red t-shirts and pretending like everyone has heard this story. Or God forbid they retell this story that they've been telling forever on SmackDown. And if that's the case, not only is SmackDown the loser, but we as fans are the loser.
A lot of stuff in the draft didn't make sense. We went over it. There's a lot of winners. Big E's a big winner. Drew McIntyre came out looking like the champion that he is. He's drafted first overall over Roman Reigns, even though it doesn't make sense. Why would you draft Drew over Roman?
It's because Raw had the first pick.
I enjoyed the New Day stuff with the Street Profits and the switching of the titles. But other than that, I'm a loss for words of which direction they're going to go with this with SmackDown. They had a lot of, they got all the stories are on SmackDown minus the Fiend and Alexa Bliss one.
Why is that a bad thing? All the stories are on SmackDown.
They are, and they're going to be all based off heels.
Oh, fair.
They need faces over there for me to take anything realistic. So other losers, do you have anybody else that's popping out to you?
I mean, the tag division as a whole is a big loser throughout this whole experience. I understand that Vince isn't very big on tag team wrestling, but you have so many good tag teams, so many good people on your roster that aren't being used. Unfortunately, you've had an injury lately to the Viking Raiders, so they are out of commission for a little bit. But why do we need to split up Garza and Andrade? Why do we need to split up the New Day? Granted, you did keep them as a tag team. Yeah, why do we need to split up Heavy Machinery? Why does any of that need to happen?
Joe, they kept Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler together.
They did.
Wow.
When I saw that the New Day had been drafted to Raw on Friday night, I was excited for the prospect of Raw also drafting the Street Profits and unifying the tag team championship.
I called that out on Twitter. I fully expected that.
I feel like a lot of people have been calling for that since Shinsuke and Cesaro challenged the Street Profits before Clash of Champions. I think that WWE should really just unite the tag division, have one belt, one set of belts that covers everybody, that goes back and forth between the brands. They're doing it with the women's tag titles, even though they've pretty much stayed on Raw lately, and that's fine. But I really do wish that they would unite that tag division so that maybe it can be seen as deeper and given a little bit more credibility.
I don't know. I got two more losers for you.
All right, let's hear.
One's a former champion. One's an Intercontinental champion. Sami Zayn got drafted late, which shows me the importance right now of that title is not what WWE want. I want to say 4th or 5th round. He got drafted late. You want to think that he should have went in the first 2 rounds, being that he's the IC champion. Right?
Yeah, I figured all the champions would.
Yeah. And then you got a former champion, Braun Strowman, who got drafted to Raw. Again, former Universal champion, and he's been on a downhill slide ever since losing that title. And then they're going to advertise him against Roman Reigns this Friday. We all know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen.
It's just there to make Roman look a little stronger. I guarantee that match won't even have a finish. It's going to be a DQ. It'll be a double count out. Roman will just walk out of the ring. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It's going to make Roman look stronger, but then it's going to make the monster among men look like a mice among men. That's what it's going to do.
The mice among men. I like that. looking at some of the off-screen picks and even a couple of the on-screen picks from Raw, there's Braun Strowman, there's Yabba Dabba Kato, there's Riddick Moss, there's Titus O'Neil, there's Arturo Ruas, Eric. Do we think Raw Underground comes back?
I hope not. They mentioned it on Raw, so
They did.
they're gonna probably do it. I want to talk about one of my winners this week was
Please, let's
Kato.
get some
Actually,
good news.
Kato actually made it onto TV as a draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really seen him wrestle, so I don't know much about him. I know he's a big guy. He's got that look. He's got the Vince look. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he is in the ring. He's obviously more agile than most people his size. But does he have charisma to, connect with the audience? Does he have the ability to hold his own in a match? We'll find out.
This is their opportunity to take, and I hope I'm saying the guy's name right, Kato. This is their opportunity. Scrap Raw Underground. Have Shane manage Kato if they want to push this guy. You want to make a big star? Heel Shane with this guy he's got the look and he's huge. He's big. He can, he has, if I saw him in the streets, I'd probably turn away from him. He's got that look and he does have that energy. Have Shane manage him, push him.
I really like that idea.
That's what they could do. Get rid of Raw Underground or have this whole Raw Underground thing be just something for Kato. Just a thought, because nobody else from Raw Underground got drafted unless you consider Braun from a Raw Underground.
So let's keep the good news going. So I've got another big winner.
I know who you're going with.
Oh, who am I going with?
I think that you're going with the wife of one of the Street Profits, possibly.
Oh, I figured you wanted to talk about Bianca.
Oh, I just figured you did too, because we have the same mindset here. Go ahead.
Well, Bianca Belair is now in a much smaller women's division. So if you look at the SmackDown women's division, Bianca Belair easily slots in as the third woman on the brand right now. You have Bayley, the champion. You have Sasha Banks, who they are going to be feuding through Hell in a Cell, but they could even feud through Rumble, and that's totally cool. Allow Bianca Belair to build herself up, destroying Carmella, who's untouchable, but she's not the EST of SmackDown. You got Natalya. No one cares about Natalya. No one does. No one does. Billie Kay. I'm sorry. No, thank you. Tamina? Ugh. Zelina Vega? What is this women's division? Honestly, this is a very incredibly disappointing women's division. The only thing that might save it is the fact that the Riot Squad was also drafted over there. So you do have Ruby Riot, you do have Liv Morgan. I'm curious if they're going to be operating as singles wrestlers or if they're going to be doing tag team matches against, I don't know, Natalya and Tamina for the next 6 months. But that's probably going to be the case. But through all of that, Bianca Belair is clearly the next in line to rise up to challenge for that SmackDown Women's Championship once the Sasha and Bayley feud is blown off.
Well, Bianca Belair is probably the biggest winner in the draft. Like you said, she's put on a short rostered women's side on SmackDown. And if you have to rank Bayley, Sasha Banks, I mean, she's right there with them. Mm-hmm. Bayley's obviously number one on that roster, but I think Bianca Belair has all the potential over there to do stuff and to win championship. And it all depends on this Bayley-Sasha feud, because I think they're going to have to cool it off after Hell in a Cell. I think they're going to want the big blow up, the big payoff to be WrestleMania. So in the middle there, you got Bianca Belair. You could even swap the title off Bayley if you wanted to. There's a lot of potential to happen over there.
Raw seems a heck of a lot more balanced looking at their women's division. You've got Asuka. They drafted Charlotte Flair, even though rumors have been out that she's not coming back until the Rumble. Yeah. Or even later. So we'll see what happens with that. They did draft Naomi. They got Alexa. They got Lacey. There's Nikki Cross. There's Peyton Royce. And unfortunately, there's Lana. Add in the tag teams. You got Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And you got Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. That's a solid women's division.
It is. It's not as good as the NXT division.
No.
But I like the potential for a lot of stuff here, especially down the line. Asuka, Alexa Bliss with The Fiend. Imagine that down the line. I mean, if you notice, she was on the Battle Royal picture last night. Alexa Bliss was. She was not in the Battle Royal. So I have a feeling that's going to be something that's going to happen down the line. Charlotte Flair, she's always, a lot of people don't like her, but I appreciate her.
You have to respect her.
I do respect her. I like her, and she makes everybody look good that she's in there with.
So I do have one more big winner out of this draft.
It's all
yours.
That
is Big E. I think Big E was getting a nice little singles push, and I did worry that when Kofi came back, it was going to turn into the Three Musketeers again, and everybody throwing pancakes, having a good time. I was delighted when they were split up. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston can go do their own thing on Raw. They can keep being the New Day. They can keep tagging, having fun, throwing pancakes around. Big E can even keep doing that himself on SmackDown. But now Big E is in a huge position on SmackDown. He's in an incredibly enviable position. And I think we're going to see throughout the rest of this year, they're going to build him up and they're going to give him a Royal Rumble victory. And we are going to see, unless WWE can somehow land The Rock for a true tribal chief showdown at WrestleMania, him versus Roman Reigns. If they can't do that, Big E has to get that match. I think Big E would really show us that he is more than just a third wheel in a stable, that he's more than just another member of the New Day. He's one of the best, most talented, charismatic workers in WWE.
That Falls Count Anywhere match was awesome on Friday night. I agree with you. Big E was a huge winner. And, you know, this whole New Day thing is going to pay off if it all works out the way we want to, with Big E wins that title at WrestleMania and New Day meets in the ring. If it's a live crowd, that crowd's going to pop. You know,
yes.
That crowd's going crazy. One of my other winners, I think it's the last winner I'm going to go with. This is kind of pulling it out for you. It's the fans. You know why? Lucha House Party got split up. This is my dance.
Split up.
But no, really, the draft overall, if you look at it, there's a lot of things that you have questions about. There's a lot of question marks, a lot of them. But it's very refreshing. If you look at both rosters, it's refreshing because it was getting stale on Raw. SmackDown was good because of Roman. That's the truth. You know, Roman and the stuff that they were doing over there with Fiend and Alexa. And I think everything spread out enough. And I'm interested to see what the dynamic's going to be with heel Roman, heel Seth. Are they going to acknowledge each other? Or what's going to happen there? You know, rumor is Seth's taking time off when the baby comes with Becky.
Of course, naturally.
They're alone. You know, there's a lot of possibilities, and who knows what's going to happen, really. But I agree on the Big E, and overall it's a very refreshing to see how I just want to get these next few episodes over with so we can see what everything's going to pan out.
Yeah, we got some season premieres coming up.
Yeah, with guys from the other brand on the opposite shows. Yeah. Braun, you know, and
got to tie up loose ends, got to do all that other nonsense.
One thing that I want to point out, I wish Keith Lee went to SmackDown. I think they didn't do it because him and Big E have the same body type, you know, the big man. So I could see why, but Keith Lee, I mean, like I said, SmackDown's lacking faces, so we're going to see face turn over there. I don't know who. Possibility that it's Seth. What do you think?
I don't know. I can't see Seth turning face anytime soon.
Are you going to see Buddy Murphy versus Roman?
No, definitely not.
I could see Rey Mysterio.
I could see Dominic Mysterio the way they've been trying to present the kid.
Kevin Owens versus Roman could be a good feud.
Yeah.
None of these guys are going to beat him. Nobody.
True.
None of them. And if they do the Roman Reigns versus Rock, if they can somehow pull that off, that doesn't need to be for the title. So I really hope they figure something out with that along the line.
As much as we as fans say it doesn't need to be for the title, WWE has done everything they can to present those matches as championship matches for the last 4, 5, 6 years. Like, yeah, even the one that really kills me and set in motion a huge long chain of events that made me hate Raw was Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 33. Why did that need to be for a title?
That's your hero.
I understand, but that was a special attraction blow off match. Didn't need to be for the title.
No.
And they decided to make it for the title, and then Brock Lesnar held the belt for like the next 17 years and only defended it once. And I don't know. That's another story for another episode.
I agree.
Speaking of other episodes, do you guys have anything that you want to see the Mark's Name Joe talk about? Leave it in the comments. Please leave something in the comments. We do all this work. We want to engage more with our fans here on YouTube. Please like, please share, please subscribe to Mark's Name Joe. And just remember, as always, we are Joe.
And I can never get a word in. Peace.